There are a couple of the factories in the eastern region that are up and running, and given the needed support, they may serve the purpose for which they were set up. We head to the Ashanti region, like the Central, Eastern, Volta, Western, Greater Accra, Western North, the Oti region, and many other regions we have covered in this documentary. The Ashanti region is no exception. Here, many of the factories that are captured in the records of the One District, One Factory Secretariat under the Ministry of Trade and Industries as factories that have been completed and operational were not so.
Mr. Speaker, it is also for us to create the necessary partnerships with industry players who probably have the financial resources to want to go into industry. So, Mr. Speaker, when we have taken advantage of the internal markets within the country and the markets as created outside the country, then we can see the import and effect of the 1D1F program. In my own constituency, and we were saying that we don't have any 1D1F. In my own constituency, Asante Achimau, and in Agogo, to be specific, we have a factory that is processing plantain. Myself, I'm a plantain farmer, so I discharge plantain to the factory, and it is onwardly exported to Canada with collaboration with CISIRS, Council for Industrial and Scientific Research. We have generated a market in Canada, and our produce coming from Agogo is destined to go to the Canadian market. So if you don't have it in your constituency, it's just that you have not been able to identify the potential that your constituency has, and you have not taken advantage of the opportunities that the ministry presents. Mr. Speaker, within the various districts, we have second cycle institutions that are ready market for the produce that come from the One District, One Factory. The dough that we produce in Agogo, we are serving the secondary schools in the area.
MP for the area, Andy Apia Kubi, excitedly and eloquently drawing the attention of the august House of Parliament that government under the One District, One Factory has completed a plantain factory here at Agogo, and that farmers are reaping the benefits under the project.
Me pacho kasa anya nukure eche se body factory de be hu si ba na si wo ewura kura kata so obi amfa body bia nkwa brochiro obi ma ya hwewa.
Fact checking has been recognized as one of the potent tools for journalists, but residents, who are mostly farmers here, decided to fact check the claims of their MP and government. Here at Agogo, there are abundant raw materials that should make any factory that was promised farmers flourish. But the farmers here say there is no factory to cater for their needs, contrary to the claims by the MP for the area.
When they say
there's a plantain factory here that's operational, it's not true. No one exports plantain from here. The buyers only offer us what they feel like paying and not the payment for the actual price of the plantain. If there's a plantain factory here, we wouldn't sit down for them to cheat us this way.
So I can't say them the Omayam Yunguno, near the Yungu, the walk and the baby.
All got some bears on one yet. It's been here, sir. Satama no more campaign. No may say.
It was during the campaign period that they promised to build a plantain factory for us because we grow a lot of plantain here. After we voted for them, there hasn't been any plantain factory built here. It is the Togolese that come to buy plantain from here. If we had a factory like that here, farmers here would be very relieved. These are pure lie.
body uhwe body pa mu twa some kwa Russia ho we ne kra ene ya wo kra body kakra bi na meme ukwa body egu ho nya sam ketua enso oboa mo twa ntro pa na MP ni twa o twa tro
ya tese ye si plantain factory ewo ha ye si ye si na mo sa ye si awie nu de ye nti enti.
They were building a plantain factory, but as to whether they have finished building is another issue. The place they are pointing to us as a location of the factory is the same path we follow to our farm. We don't hear any sound of machines operating in the factory, and we have not seen that plantain is being exported from here abroad. As for the raw materials, we see them every day.
Any no kura say ya tese ye si bi wo ha na mu ka say ye si awie de a any me nko ade me hu e bi a no bi ahu na me nso hu ye de a.
The Asante Akim North and South District are noted for the cultivation of plantain. About 80% of the people here are predominantly farmers, but their dreams of having a factory that will guarantee them a ready market for their produce seems millions of kilometers away from them. It is not only the residents of Agogo that are distraught, but private persons who were made to register under the One District, One Factory to be given support for the factory. Such persons never got the funding promised them by the 1D1F Secretariat under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Judge Frimpong tells us an unpleasant story about his experience with the 1D1F Secretariat through the Exim Bank of Ghana.
In fact, we sent a proposal to the One District, One Factory Secretariat when Honorable Hinikunadu was in charge at that time. In fact, they accepted the project as a viable project. So we were given a letter to Exim Bank for assistance. The assistance in terms that when they give you a loan, the government will pay 50% of the interest for you to also pay 50%. 2 weeks ago that I had a call from One Frank, who's a coordinator for One District, One Factory at the Exim Bank, that we should come to Accra for our documents, or he will send it to Kumasi through their branch for me to go and collect it. So the long and short of it is that we've not taken any money from the One District, One Factory, even though it was accepted as a viable project under the One District, One Factory.
Ginger is one of the most sought after and most important farm produce.
A lot of foreign exchange, and which will help us, strengthen and make our currency very robust and to be able to face the challenges that are affecting this depreciation.
It is expected that once the factories are set up, let's use the case of Casa de Rupa, Petersfield as an example. They are not in operation now. You go there. When they started, they had about 150 people working there. But when you go there,
has a very peculiar issue. You see, I'm sure that they wanted a certain amount of money from Exim Bank, and Exim Bank was able to give them some money. They were not able to give them all, but we were expecting the company to see to the most important aspect of the business and focus on trying to get those things done before setting up the whole company. You understand what I'm making? Assuming, with Joy FM, you may not have your own business, your whole structure, talk about physical evidence structure done, but you may have part of the building completed. You may have some machines to work. These are things that we expect business people to know. You don't, because you said, okay, I want to do a factory like this, and the factory will cost me 20 million. Exim Bank is able to give, let's say, 5 million. You said because 5 million will not be adequate to put up the structure to buy machines to hire people to do plantation, I will only do building and leave the rest. That's not business.
At the farm, they had dams. I'm
telling you that the spirit of that action was not too good.
Why is Exim Bank not getting them money to operationalize what they have done?
It's a financial institution. The financial institution may not have enough money at a particular time, and a lot of people are also looking for loans. So they will look at the viability of the business. That's how financial institutions know that this is not a government business. It is a financial institution that has gone for loan somewhere to disburse and also get money money out of whatever.
We see the spirit of government in this through this initiative. But government also has a business of ensuring that the core objective of setting up these factories.
That's what government is doing that. Government is doing that by making sure that these companies are operationalized. In other words, these companies are set up to do the business that they've anticipated to do. That's the government's interest. Government will not go and say to any bank by force, give them money. No, government will not do that.
In the 2020 budget statement of government, it captured projects currently operating as 1D1F as 58. 26 projects they indicated as projects under construction, while 96 of the projects were captured as pipeline projects. In the 2021 budget statement of government, 96 factories were captured as factories operating under the One District, One Factory. 107 of the projects were captured as factories under construction. 49 factories were tagged as pipeline factories. That brought a total of 232 factories under the government policy, according to government. Fast forward to the 2022 budget statement, the number of factories completed and operating under government 1D1F shot up to 106. 148 factories were captured as factories under construction, with 24 factories captured under pipeline projects. In the 2023 budget statement of government, 126 factories were captured as factories that were duly completed and operating in the various districts across the country. 143 factories were said to be projects under construction, while 27 fell under what government describes as pipeline projects. President Akufo-Addo touted in the 2023 State of the Nation address that in 4 years, 106 companies are in operation under the 1D1F. 148 factories were under construction, and thus the president says is the largest expansion of that sector since independence. The budget allocation analysis shows that in 2017, 456,247,495 was expended on the One District, One Factory project. In 2018, 400 million was spent in financing the 1D1F project. 2019 saw 95 million Ghana cedis spent by government on the One District, One Factory. The story in 2020 in terms of liquidity support to the policy was 150,810,000 Ghana cedis, while in 2021, 164,296,000 was expended on government's 1D1F. In 2022, 216,296,000 was spent on the One District, One Factory. And finally, in 2023, the state spent 200,417,720 Ghana cedis in financing the One District, One Factory. In total, government has spent 1.683 billion Ghana cedis, 66,215 Ghana cedis on the 1D1F. The Exim Bank has begun pestering the companies to repay the loans, but the directors of the company say they are not in any position to pay the funds.
Up to 1 million cedis, Casa Europa will be operational, and then maybe 3 to 6 months. Yes, but as you speak now, in September, we have had a letter from a consultant from Exim Bank that they want their money, and they say there's no money to be paid. If the bank is not interested in the project, there are two options. Option one, for us to engage a potential investor and a partner to pay them off. Option two is to break down the asset